Today I had the opportunity to do something a little bit different astrologically. I had arranged with Christina Stargazer to do a podcast, which is already online, about horary astrology, not realising that she was actually in a fairly unique location to do with astrology. She was actually at the location which used to be Richard Sterling's house. Now, Richard Sterling being a very famous astrologer in Australia, especially because he worked with Women's Weekly and was friends with Ida Buttrose, and he was doing that for 25 years or more. He also had the opportunity, and he took it upon himself, I think in the 90s or maybe the 80s, to not only transform his house, which is in this beautiful area in the Blue Mountains, not far from the Three Sisters, and he created a garden, an astrological garden, where he put all the plants and set it all up in a certain way to reflect astrology and the signs and what they actually mean and what they represent. So what I did have is an opportunity to meet the owner of the place, a lady called Dalia, who has it set up as a retreat and is looking to do a lot more, even in conjunction with people like Christina, to bring the garden back to astrology, and also as a very unique, I would say, spiritual place, in which it appears to be from what I saw today. So what I'm going to do is I did record some video with Dalia and asked her a number of questions and bits and pieces about what she is and where she's at and what she's done in the past. So I've decided I'm going to upload that and promote this as a very unique opportunity or a stay to do something uniquely spiritual associated to astrology, and literally in the old house owned by one of Australia's well-renowned astrologers. I'll leave it at that, and I'll let my conversation with Christina and Dalia take over from there. Anyway, enjoy the video. So here we are today. Guest speaker here, or person to talk to, is Christina Stargazer, who's got this wonderful backdrop of the Blue Mountains out of Sydney at the moment, away for the weekend, having a bit of fun up at Richard Sterling's house. Is that right?
That's right. Been hanging out with Richard. He's definitely here in spirit. Hi, Luke. How are you?
Good. How are you, Christina?
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, that's all right. Not a problem. I was looking forward to this. We've been trying to coordinate during a nice Mercury retrograde. It just didn't work, did it?
No, Mercury's gone direct now, so communications flows again. But yeah, I found myself sitting here celebrating 19 years of teaching astrology in Richard Sterling's home. And it's such a beautiful, peaceful property, and there's such reverence.
Look at that backdrop. You're sitting there, like you're just around the corner from the Three Sisters. So yep. we know exactly where that's located, up there in Katoomba, Lura way. Yep. But also, just quickly, some people out there, especially overseas, may not know who Richard Sterling is.
Okay, so Richard Sterling was born in 1926. He was an astrologer who wrote for the Women's Weekly for about 25 years.
Yes.
And this all follows on the back of a presentation that I gave for SARS a few weeks ago at the beginning of April. And Richard Sterling, being good friends with Ida Buttrose, was able to, she asked him to write astrology for the Women's Weekly. So there's been a few famous astrologers. There's still, you think of the media, Jonathan Cainers and the Dina Starwomans and the Richard Sterlings and the Milton Blacks. They all fit into that sun sign horoscope writing
especially
media.
In Australia, especially here in Australia.
But yeah, so this is Dalia. Dalia owns the Blue Mountains retreat here. And this is Luke Bailey. So Luke's a colleague of mine.
Nice to meet you.
We'll have to come. Well, we love the
Sydney.
mountains. One of our favourite places is, and since they've renovated, it's even better. Is good old Hydro Majestic, which is not far up the road. It's a beautiful.
My views are closer than the Hydro. I'm closer on the escarpment, so it really has the oh my god factor. It really does.
Okay. Even better.
Yeah.
So you're right on the escarpment. I can see it from here.
I'm right on the escarpment, and I'm 5 minutes walk to the Three Sisters. We used to be able to see the Three Sisters, the back, before the trees from the next door neighbour grew a little bit too tall. But this is definitely a unique location, and very central to 5 major bushwalks as well.
Wow. Yeah. I
Yeah.
know the area quite well. I used to go up and spend time with Kevin Barrett down at Wentworth Falls when he was living down there. So different area altogether. So my point was, so what you're set up as an astrology or a retreat? Is it more what do you actually do up there? As Christina said.
Sure.
Yeah. So give us a bit of background.
There are many levels. There are many levels that my guests will receive, depending on where you're at. If you're just wanting to celebrate a birthday, an anniversary, I market it as a couples retreat, a romantic couples retreat, because it is private. We have the honeymoon suite in our upstairs apartment with a 4-poster bed and the tulle, and it's full of love anyway, and it's just beautiful. So I get a lot of people on their honeymoon elopements.
Elopements.
Yes.
Proposals.
Full
of them.
Yeah. And so we have Cloud9 upstairs, which sleeps either a couple or they can bring another couple. It sleeps up to 5 people. It's very comfortable. It has an 8-meter viewing deck, which has panoramic views, amazing views. And then we have downstairs Stirling Manor, I named after Richard in his honour. And so that's more of a period house. Upstairs is more modern. Downstairs is set in the period of the 1970s with his favourite Axminster carpet. Which
I loved it as soon as I walked in. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's made up of beautiful flowers. You won't see it now ever again. So I make sure that people, wear the in-house slippers and we look after it. And it's got the beautiful 70s mirror.
It's got mirrored tiles on the wall
and chandeliers. It's very elegant and it's quite enchanting. The thing about Stirling Manor is when you're sitting inside, you have exactly the same views as upstairs.
Wow.
And you're more grounded with the vegetation and the trees and the plants. And it's got a new kitchen and a new deck. So each of the accommodations have their own viewing platform, because that's really why people come, because of the view. The other thing is, because it was Richard's home, he created at the time the only signposted astrology garden in the world back in the 90s. And that's what I'm only repeating the brochure that I was given. I was given a whole heap of his stuff when I bought the house, and it was on Burke's Backyard and Gardening Australia several times. And what makes it so special is that he has sandstone pathways that meander all the way down to the Prince Henry Bushwalk, with plants and established rhododendrons now that showcase the astrology signs and are colour-coded, perhaps. And unique to the garden, the sun signs are not in order. They're placed in certain positions, which has something to do with the character or the characteristic of that sun sign. So he put Leo, the romantic gazebo, of Leo in the centre of the garden, because they like to be the centre of attention. They also like to know what's going on. And so, he's placed certain things near water features, Pisces near the water, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
I think from what I've observed, sorry, Luke, I was just going to say, from what I've observed, it seems like there's the compatibility of each sign. And like when you get to the bottom of the garden, you go into Scorpio territory where all the
I was about to ask, so where's Scorpio? I was going to say, don't tell me it's where the septic tank is.
Hidden on the side.
Hidden down the bottom, it's very, where the fairies in the garden are.
Yeah. So we get angel orbs from 5 o'clock in the afternoon. If you're an adept and that way inclined, you might see them. There's a lot of good energy. We're on an energy ley line. Beautiful. And you can feel the vibration. You can feel your body tingling subtly. And why that's helpful, obviously, is your stress. You'll feel the stress just unraveling. I was told when I was here upstairs on the deck, and I just lay on the sun lounge for about an hour, and my guidance just said, if you sit for at least an hour, you'll feel the stress unraveling like an onion peel.
So true.
And when I got up, I felt lighter.
Yep.
I felt rejuvenated. And so you asked me, what am I offering people here? Like I said, it's on many levels. If
Yes,
they
it
come for a
is.
party, they're not going to sense the good
No.
energy, but they'll say it was very serene and tranquil here, and the views are extraordinary.
Amazing.
Then
Yeah.
you'll get the spiritual people who come to meditate. The gazebo is perfect for meditation.
Absolutely.
Um,
Dalia took us through a meditation to welcome us into the garden.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
it was just so beautiful, and called in Richard. Like, typically, Christina Stargazer just plonked herself straight down on Richard's seat. Like, I didn't know.
Didn't even
And
realise.
the whole way through, the whole way through the meditation, the seat was vibrating. I was like, I kept putting my hand down. I was like, what's going on?
Richard has a habit of coming in energetically. He passed away in 2013 for your viewers, but because of my abilities, my spiritual psychic abilities, I know when he's there, and he's always very grateful. Often people will come to me and just tell me their problems. Because I was a counsellor for many years, I suppose, and he'll stand next to me, and he's so grateful that I'm doing what I'm doing to help people, and so that's my mission. Basically, I just want as many people to know that it's not just about the view. The gardens are very enchanting, and special, but energetically,
we
if you
will
just want
definitely
a
have to come and
peace.
visit. Absolutely, come and
If
visit
you want
there.
peace.
Absolutely.
Lydia,
you will love it.
I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I had no idea it was there, like what you're doing,
Exactly.
Who did? Like I said, I only
That's
stumbled.
why. Look, it was funny because I noticed a booking come in from Christina, and when it said Christina Stargazer, and she said she was an astrologer, I had been putting out there, I want to bring astrology back to the gardens. And so I just let that intention go. And when she booked in, I thought, well, I wonder if this is the astrologer.
Dalia rang me. I thought, oh, no, what's wrong with my credit card? Like, oh, dear.
So I said, is it all right if I come and speak to you and meet you? So here we are. And
So Dalia, what made you buy the place? What drew you to it? Because there was obviously something a bit deeper than just, there's a house to live in.
So what actually happened, I've taught spiritual workshops for years, and I do all sorts of interesting things energetically. And my parents had passed away, and I decided I didn't have to stick around anymore. The developers got into the Maroubra area. It wasn't comfortable. It was a very heavy energy. It wasn't sort of fun anymore. And I just asked myself, what would I like to do? Where would I like to be? And to cut a very long story short, I'd been coming up to the mountains regularly anyway. And if it was a choice of the north coast, the beaches, or the waterfalls and the green lushness of the mountains, my higher self just glowed when I said the Blue Mountains. The energy was just overwhelming. So I knew it was here. And then I remembered I had a school friend, an acquaintance who worked for Bell Real Estate, Kim Martin. And I phoned her and I said, on the off chance, this is what I'm looking for. It's got to have a great view and maybe an income. Do you happen to have anything? And she said, I've just listed a place. I think you'll love it. Come up on Saturday. I went up on Saturday. It was the hottest day of the year. It was like 44 degrees. And
which is uncommon for the Blue Mountains.
It's very uncommon. But I had to catch a bus because I just sold my car. Like nothing could stop me, I decided I had to go. So I went in and met Kim, and as soon as I saw the view, I went, oh my God, this is an incredible place. And when I went upstairs, which was really funny, I was going to book one night's accommodation in a place called Cloud9, but it didn't accept one night booking midweek. And so I thought, it doesn't matter, I'll just go up anyway. I went up with a girlfriend of mine, and we then went up to the deck, which is where we're sitting now. And I went, oh my God, that's the deck. I had been sitting in prayer and meditating on what would it look like? These are the keys of manifestation.
Yes.
You get it, you step into the energy, with certainty that you can have it. And what would it look like to me? Well, there was the deck and there was the view, and I got goosebumps because I knew that I had pulled this in.
And you found
And
the
when
right place.
you know it and you trust that, everything flows because it's given to you. And I've had so many experiences in my life where I understand the process, and that's why I used to teach it in workshops as well. And I've helped thousands of people for many, many years. So this was my forever home where I was supposed to be retired. Anyway, so this is the house, and Kim said, I'll help you. I'm getting the goosebumps. And here we are. It just came to me. I didn't have to do it too much. It was the first place I looked at. Yeah. So the good thing to also know is I created a website so that people can come direct.
Beautiful.
Where on a weekend, if they book 2 nights, normally you'd be paying Airbnb and stays over $100 just in a booking fee. So you can come to me direct, choose your accommodation, the calendars are live, and there's no booking fee.
Okay. And what's the website? Because I'll actually make a note of that.
www.dalias, DALIAS, bluemountainretreat.com.au. I've got quite a presence out there. I'm on TripAdvisor. I win the Travelers Award, and whatever I do with my heart and soul. And I've got an amazing property manager who helps with the cleaning, and she's that way inclined too. Yeah. Come and experience.
It's one of
Bring
those
astrology back to the garden.
Yes.
Richard would love it.
Not only that, even just things like, people always buying the lunar planting guide, but does anyone actually understand it?
Yeah, that's in Richard's book. He's got it all in there.
I've got a folder. I created a folder because there's nothing on the internet about him anymore.
No.
So I went into Trove, which is an archival .com site, and so I photocopied all the newspaper clippings because you see his father. He lived in Cowra with his parents. His father planted.
You want to hear
crops.
something funny?
Yeah.
Where I lived.
Well, his father planted crops according to the moon cycles, and that's what encouraged and got him passionate. Yes, in Cowra.
Well, I didn't know that. My father was the local chiropractor in town. That's what we moved to there. So he was a chiropractor and osteopath. One of the first.
I studied polarity therapy, which Randolph Stone created, because all the doctors in America would send him patients that the chiropractors would send him patients that they couldn't fix. And so Dr. Stone, who was also a chiropractor, developed this modality, which works energetically as well as physically. And I studied lots of modalities because I knew I had healing hands. That's how I started.
There's more I reckon we can talk about, but I'd like to plan it and maybe even do a little podcast like this,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think being in the garden and just like having a look at it and doing it, that's what I said. Like, I think you could use the garden as a bit of an experiential space, standing in Aries, learning about Taurus. That's what I'll be planning to do, Luke, is to do retreats where you take people into the space and you talk about what the energy is in that space. How powerful will that be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before all the
so I was going to say, can I share the screen and I'll just
Go
is there anything else you want to ask Dalia before we say goodbye?
I think that's been great, and I appreciate your time and especially, yes, look at the spot. There you go, Dalia, if you like.
Bye.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
I'm well over my checkout time, I might add, but I'll see you in a sec, Dane. All right. Okay.
That's
that better?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Look at that.
Can you see that?
Yes, I can see the escarpment right across.
And so if I pan you down, you can see there's the Leo gazebo. You see that?
Leo gazebo. So what we have here is a garden created by Richard Sterling that encompasses all of the astrological signs, not necessarily in order.
Can you see Capricorn over there?
So what are we looking at for Capricorn?
It says Garden of the Stars, and there's a light post, but that's the top of the Capricorn.
It's a bit hard to see from here. Oh, yes, I can see the light post there. Yes, okay.
So down there is the Capricorn stairway. It's a cracker to come back up after you've got to the bottom, I can tell you. But when you get to the top, you get the reward of the view.
Okay, so that's the whole point of being a mountain goat, basically.
Exactly.
Yes. What a beautiful
there's all these
garden.
lovely little decks and, And so behind me I've got the house here.
What a beautiful space.
Yeah, it's really lovely. So, yeah. All right, Dane, well,
All right.
So that's
Well,
why
look,
that's why we call the Blue Mountains blue, because they've got
yes.
a blue hue.
Got a blue hue to them. That's exactly right. Even
Yeah.
through this screen, which is not the greatest video, you can still see it quite well. So, all right.
Yeah.
Well, look, I reckon
All right, Doug,
we'll leave that one there and.